Welcome to my show. I'm a guest here. Her name is Elizabeth Aguilera. Mrs. Elizabeth, how are you doing, ma?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Elizabeth. Firstly, you are a life coach. Can you please, ma, discuss more about yourself and how you are doing currently, ma?
Yes, of course. Yes, I'd love to tell you a little bit about me. So, I am Elizabeth Aguilera, and my mission is to help people become emotionally bulletproof so they can deal with the narcissist on their own terms. Emotionally bulletproof means you become so emotionally strong that you react less to toxic behavior and you're confident in protecting your own well being. And this work is so important to me because I attracted back to back narcissists when I was younger. I met the first narcissist when I was 16, and I was the perfect mark, good hearted, an expert people pleaser. I had no idea who I was, and I couldn't wait to have my own love story. And I was with that person for 16 years. And I met the second narcissist when I was 33 and vulnerable in the middle of an ugly divorce from the first narcissist. And I had no idea what my values, what my non negotiables were, what a boundary was, or how to stand up for myself. So I was easy prey to predators. And there was no term narcissist in the 1980s. That word um, just was not as well known as it is now. And there was nothing to describe what I was going through back then. I knew my relationship was beyond toxic. And I kept asking myself, how did I get here? No matter what I gave, it wasn't enough. I gave everything until there was nothing left. And my soul felt like it was dying. I wasted precious years feeling exhausted, confused, unsafe, and growing more and more invisible. And the narcissist he mistook my kindness for weakness. He took all of my wonderful qualities and turned them against me. Things like my empathy, compassion, love, caring, support. He used my gifts and my life energy for his benefit and really kept taking until my cup was empty. And he gave nothing in return. And I was left feeling really hopeless, ashamed, lonely, and a shell of the person I used to be. And I want my life to be a cautionary tale to others because there's nothing that derails a person on their path like crossing paths with a narcissist.
Hmm. That was very, very emotional, Mrs. Elizabeth. And with this narcissist, ma, have you written any book in terms of it, Mrs. Elizabeth?
Do have a book. I'm so happy to be an Amazon best-selling author, along with Jack Canfield. He is the author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. And there's a book that I collaborated on with him, and it's called Success Redefined.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you so much, Mrs. Elizabeth. And do you also have more books you are planning to write in the coming future, ma?
Oh, I hope to in the future. Nothing right now in the works, but I would love to. Yeah, in the future.
All right, sir. I will be expecting that. Thank you so much, Mrs. Elizabeth. Firstly, I want to dive more on the point of a narcissist person, ma. It's more, you said it earlier that it's more of an advantage if someone is narcissist and stuff like that. Can you please, ma, tell us, the key traits of a narcissist person, ma?
Sure. Um, uh, One thing I would love to do before I dive into the key traits is to share what it feels like to be in a relationship with a narcissist, because sometimes You don't know that you're with a narcissist,
Okay.
and you become sort of blind to it. You're so used to it. But if you get in touch with your feelings, it can feel like things like this. You have no time for yourself. You stopped doing things that you love, hobbies, arts, exercise, doing things that light you up. You are emotionally and physically drained. Your emotions might be flat or numb. You feel confused all the time, and you might even think you're going crazy. You stopped looking forward to things. It takes everything you've got just to get through the day. You feel like you're walking on eggshells. You're blamed for things you didn't do. You apologize for things you didn't do. You feel lonely. Your home feels tense and unpredictable. You may have mystery illnesses that no doctor can diagnose or fix. You have a hard time making decisions. You don't trust yourself. And all you want is peace. So that's what it might feel like if you're in this situation. And there are key traits, like you said, that define a narcissist. And some of them are everything is always about them. They brag about their accomplishments. They're the hero of every story. If things didn't go well, they are the victim. And any conversations that they have, they always turn them around so that it goes right back to them. They have a lack of empathy, which means they cannot put themselves in your shoes and they don't care about your feelings. They have an excessive need for attention or praise or admiration or compliments. This is called narcissistic supply. And it's your energy and it's oxygen to the narcissist. They feed off of it. They really are energy vampires, and you do feel drained after interacting with them. They believe that they are better than everyone else. They are expert liars and manipulators, and they use others to get what they want. There's always a hidden agenda with a narcissist. They cannot stand to be criticized, and they often overreact to any perceived slight with anger. And they don't respect your boundaries. They will push your boundaries to their limits, hoping you'll back down so they get their way. Um, and it really is all about control. And they want you to give in so that they win. And every time you give in, you lose a piece of yourself.
Mm. Thank you so much, Mrs. Elizabeth, for the specific details of a narcissist person, ma. But as a narcissist person, as you've explained now, some people might be like, oh, I think I might be a narcissist. I would like to ask, ma, once someone has identified if someone is a narcissist, what strategies do you think someone can use to protect themselves from a narcissist influence?
Mm, that's a great question. So, awareness is extremely important. And so, some of the strategies that someone can use to protect themselves from a narcissist are boundaries. Boundaries are your best friend. So, you want to set clear boundaries and enforce them. Um, you have to say what you mean and mean what you say. So, if you say, I'm not taking calls or texts after 8 p.m., then if they contact you, don't respond to them if they reach out after 8 p.m. So it's very important for you to enforce your boundaries. You want to stay neutral when talking to them. So a narcissist loves drama, and if then they will stir it up. And if they don't have any drama, they'll make it up. So you want to remain calm and composed when talking to a narcissist because they will provoke you. They thrive on drama. They will bait you to get a rise out of you. And when you give them your energy, This is called that narcissistic supply, and that's what they're after. You do not want to overshare about yourself. You want to keep your personal and sensitive information to yourself. Narcissists will use that against you. So basically, you want to take your time getting to know people. People will show you who they are, but it takes time to get to know them. And you want to keep your interactions brief with a narcissist. If you have to contact them, you have to communicate with them, it's best to do that in email. This way, you have a, a documentation trail where responses between the two of you are written down, and that's sort of that adds an extra layer of uh, protection to yourself because the narcissist will lie and will say that they didn't say something. But if you have something in a paper trail, then you obviously can refer to that and realize, no, I'm not going crazy. They did say this, and I have the proof right here. And unfortunately, with a narcissist, you do have to protect yourself in that way. You want to confide in people you trust. You want to reconnect with people you may have disconnected from because the narcissist loves to isolate you. And you want to rebuild a support system around you if you have been in a narcissistic relationship and you want to continue to educate yourself. You want to continue to learn about the strategies that they use, like gaslighting, love bombing, blame shifting. You want to be able to recognize them so that you can deal with them on your own terms, because understanding their behavior will help you stay one step ahead of them. And really, the best defense against a narcissist is to know yourself. If you know who you are, what your values are, your non negotiables, if you know what you will tolerate, what you won't tolerate, um, then you'll be able to stand firm against anyone, including the narcissist. The more you know yourself, the easier it will be to stand up to anyone who is toxic. And you want to be very careful not to excuse their bad behavior. You don't want to ignore red flags or be afraid to rock the boat. You don't want to go along to get along because um, that is not in your best interest. And that's exactly what the narcissist wants. He wants you to just go along with them. And so if you call them out, if you try to have discussions about what's going on in your relationship, you'll see their true colors. They might explode because they're angry that you called them out. They may even tell you that they'll change, but they keep repeating the same behavior. And that's what you want to look at, a consistent and repeated behavior. And if you notice that they're just stuck in this same toxic cycle, you really have no other choice but to leave because they won't change.
Hmm, that's very, very inspiring. Thank you so much, Mrs. Elizabeth. And that will also make me understand that you have a lot of success stories when it comes to a narcissist person, from your personal experience. Can you please, ma'am, share with us is any success story where someone identified and addressed a narcissistic relationship effectively, ma'am?
Yeah, I would love to tell you about somebody I'm so proud of, and her
Mm,
name is Dawn. And she was on and off with a narcissist for 4 years. She desperately wanted to leave this toxic relationship, but she found that she just couldn't. She was so emotionally detached from what she was living that she was numb to her own suffering as a sort of defense mechanism. And she was trapped in a trauma bond, A trauma bond is when you uh, are basically addicted to this toxic relationship because of an sort of a pain pleasure cycle, which is a toxic cycle of abuse. A trauma bond is when they show up as Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde, but you never know which one is going to show up. They might show up as Mr. Nice Guy and loving, or they might be cruel. You never know. This is what keeps you on edge. This is what keeps you off center. This is what keeps you walking on eggshells. And it changes your brain. Not this intermittent hot and cold behavior, because when Mr. Nice Guy shows up, your brain releases a dopamine chemical, which is a hit, a feel-good chemical. It's like a hit to your brain. And you say, oh, there he is. That's the person I fell in love with. There he is. And it feels wonderful. And things are okay for a short amount of time when you're in that pleasure cycle. And then right after that, it always goes to they show up as cruel and they show up as being mean. And then here you are again, pain and pleasure, toxic cycle of abuse. And this is what is called the trauma bond. Anyway, my sweet Dawn was trapped in this trauma bond and she tried to leave before. The pain of the withdrawal from the trauma bond was unbearable. And she kept educating herself about what she was going through. She read books, she watched YouTube videos, she listened to podcasts for more information. She knew what she was dealing with and that it was a narcissist, but she just couldn't see her way out of this mess that she was in. She sought my help and support, and I am so proud of her, so proud to say she left the narcissist once and for all. She is doing a lot of inner work to heal her issues of codependency, to deal with inner wounds. She's getting to know herself. She is learning how to set boundaries, learning to love herself, practices self-care, which she did not do at all. She's taking classes at night. She's planning her future. She's making plans to buy a house, and she is stepping into a better and healthier version of herself. There is vibrant life waiting for you on the other side of narcissistic abuse. And Dawn is absolute proof of that.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that she's doing fine and happy today. That's very great. And lastly, ma, what one piece of advice would you give to someone unsure if they are dealing with a narcissist, ma?
Yeah, well, I would say to look at your life as an observer. Notice what you're noticing. You want to step back from your life with fresh eyes. And are you able to spot the narcissist tactics? Do they show up as Mr. Nice Guy? And then do they turn cruel? Do they isolate you from from your support system? Do they isolate you from your friends and your family, your coworkers? Do they make it difficult when you want to go out and see them? Do they guilt trip you and prefer that you stay home with them? Do they cross your boundaries? When you say something, do they knowingly try to push your boundaries to get you to change your mind? It's important that you understand their tactics. Um, do they um, gaslight you? That is something that is gaslighting is when they deliberately confuse you. They can lie to your face when you can know that they did something or they said something, and then you ask them about that, and I never said that. I never did that. And so, this gaslighting is it's absolutely detrimental to you. You are confused. You don't trust yourself. You start to look to them more and more for validation, and that chips away at your self-esteem. And so it's very, very important that you observe their behavior and try to find out what's going on. Do you see some of these tactics at work in your life? Do you see things from a different perspective? And so, because ultimately what they're trying to do is they want to establish control over you and they want you to depend on them. The more you depend on them, then the better it is for them. So it's all about control. It's always about control. And so you want to be brutally honest with yourself, not make excuses for their bad behavior, and really see what's going on in your life. You want to listen to your intuition, listen to your body, because they speak volumes to us, but we have to get quiet enough to listen, for sure. So, if you would like support from me, and you can send me a message through my website. It's thegoodcalling.com. Just go to the contact tab. And I'd love to offer your audience a complimentary discovery call. Together, we can explore where you are, where you want to go, and the next best steps to help you move forward with clarity and confidence.
Thank you so much for the opportunity you are trying to give to the listeners. Thank you so much, Mrs. Elizabeth. And as a narcissist, and people who could be a narcissist, you know, it's definitely not so easy. When you even started, giving the features of who a narcissist is, I was like, oh my God. There were some features that I was like, well, I have some features. I do not know if I'm an artist, but I hope that, more better days and better things will come ahead in the future. And lastly, Mrs. Elizabeth, there's a question I normally ask from the ancestors, from the forefathers. There are a lot of things that do exist during our ancestral time that doesn't exist in our time today. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, what do you think that thing would be, ma?
I think that it's important that we question everything. A lot of us have definitely received lessons and messages from our parents and our grandparents and generations back, because things are passed on, right, from generation to generation. But it's very important that we don't just assume that what we've been told and programmed is what's right for us today. Um, Being curious and and questioning some of these beliefs that have been handed down is really very important, because we can have all kinds of beliefs that were handed down that are not ours, and we do not have to carry things that are not ours. We get to decide. We have the choice, and everything is a choice. And so I would absolutely ask people to question everything. Like, for example, this is a silly example, but
Mm,
it's so my parents, they taught us that you always eat your meat well done. I mean, well done. So that was passed down to us. Well, that's a belief. That's a belief. And so we made it our own. Okay. But uh, I have discovered by being curious and questioning that I don't like my meat well done. It's too tough. It's too hard. It doesn't taste good to me. And so it was my choice, and I am able to eat that, meat as any way I want. I get to change that. My brother is so deep in his programming that the thought of eating meat that's red at all, just he cannot even fathom that. And so that's just a silly little example, but pay attention to to your beliefs, what's been handed down to you. They may not be your beliefs at all in many different areas, in your finances, in your tastes, in all, and so many different things. You get to choose. And so the way that you wake up out of this fog of these are my beliefs and that's it, is to get curious and question, because there may be a whole bunch of things out there that you can let go, you can repattern, and you can make work for your good.
Hmm. Thank you so much, Mrs. Elizabeth. I want to personally, thank you for speaking on this topic as a narcissist. Speaking on the topic on narcissists and also different, keys, traits, and signs that one could, see if he or she is, working with a narcissist. Thank you so much, Mrs. Elizabeth.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. And I have good news for you. The
Yes,
fact
ma'am.
that you even question,
Mm.
am I a narcissist, means that you're not.
Ah,
Because a narcissist,
yeah.
a narcissist
Yeah.
will not question that way. They
Oh.
always think they're right. They always think that, their word is law. And so they would never question, am I doing something wrong? Because the
Mm.
answer for them is always no. And so what we want to look for is a consistent and repeated pattern. The
Mm.
truth is, we all have narcissistic traits. Absolutely, we do.
Okay.
But but we don't live there. That's not what we constantly do and show to the world. We have the ability to stop and think, "Oh my goodness, I am sorry that I acted this way." You can apologize, and you can show up in a different way. Like, you have that self-awareness that if you're showing up and it's not your best self, you can change that, right? And but we all have narcissistic traits every now and again, every single one of us. The narcissist um, will always stick to their consistent and repeated
Mm.
pattern, and they will not change. And so that's
Mm.
the key, and that's what you want to look out for. Um, yeah, they're not interested in changing. They
Mm.
want to change you, to keep their agenda.
Mm.
So it's always about power and control with a narcissist.
All right. I think that really gave me a huge relief. Thank you so much, Mrs. Elizabeth, for the time, for the opportunity, and for every details you brought to this conversation. Thank you so much, ma'am.
It's been my pleasure. Thank
Right,
you.
right, ma'am. Bye bye.
Bye.